What's up, guys? Another episode of Ask PJ with special guest and possible full-time co-host. Maybe. I mean, Skype makes these things possible now.
Absolutely. No, this is great stuff. What's up, everybody? Dr. Zano.
Dr. Zano in the house. And
Hey,
we're cranking out some podcasts today. I think this is going to be the last one, but we're going to cover a few important subjects. We're doing these for the ladies today.
For the ladies.
So we're going to cover on the subject of being a woman and focusing on beauty, right? We hear a lot on collagen supplements now. And we're going to talk about collagen, and then we're going to close it out. We're actually going to talk about birth control. All right? And this is two, I think, somewhat different things, but because we're talking about women, beauty, hormones, hormone manipulation, I think it all kind of flows together. So recently, I have seen this craze in women-targeted collagen supplements, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that if it is the right kind of product and if it is not a scam. And so much of what we see in the supplement world is a scam, and this is where the negative side of supplements come, because people say, oh, it's snake oil and the FDA doesn't regulate it, which is not true. They regulate things hard, trust me. And it's just a matter of what you can do and get away with as long as you're not making specific claims. So on the subject of collagen, I'll call her my girlfriend, right? I mean, people are like, oh, you guys broke up and this and that. I mean, look, I love her very much. We've been hanging out more than ever now. We actually hang out more now than when we didn't live together. So I'm going to refer to her as my girlfriend, right?
I think it's safe to say that.
I think the labels and stuff, because she even said, she's like, what are we? I'm like, I don't know. Do you want a business card? I mean, like, we love each other. How about that?
That is a PJ answer. Would you like me to get you a business card?
After you've been through, and don't make me segue into divorce talk, because then I'll start.
Hey, we both are.
Yeah, then we'll start getting in a whole different direction. So I talk to her every day. I love her very much, and she told me that she was approached by a company to sell a beauty product for hair and skin and nails, and it was a collagen product. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, it's like $69.99 though. And I was like, $69.99? Send this over to me. Yeah. And I said, listen, I know that you trust everything that I say. I go, however, when you send it to me, I'm actually going to send it to Trevor Kurtzen. And Trevor, again, is a PhD chemist. He has an extensive background. He works specifically with supplements. And let's see what Trevor has to say, because you'll get a second opinion, right? So I got the label. As soon as I got the label, I was like, oh, my God. Yeah. For starters, it's a proprietary blend. And I'm not going to shit on prop blends.
But a lot of people don't realize what that is, and I think it's very important, because I want people to understand why and how the effort you put into your supplements, because you're basing it off of studies, not proprietary blends. So explain, because people don't realize what that means. It's sprinkle. So explain the sprinkle.
When you read something that says proprietary blend, and it'll say 4 grams, right? And then there'll be parentheses of all of these things listed, right? And those things that are listed equal out to those 4 grams. Now, the first thing that's listed legally has to be what is the greatest abundance in there, right? So if you buy a collagen product and the first ingredient in that proprietary blend is not some form of collagen, you're already getting scammed right there. Because if it's a collagen product, that should be the number one ingredient. Now, as you go on, you'll start seeing other things. When you get to the last thing, that is what has the lowest amount by far. So let's just say you had a 1 gram product, right? And there were 4 ingredients. The first one listed might have 500 milligrams. The second one perhaps has 300, then 200, then 100. There's your 1,000. There's your 1 gram total. That's how proprietary blends work. When you see something that has a lot of stuff that doesn't total out to a high amount, well, that means they wanted to sprinkle a bunch of stuff in there so they could have all these great things on a label to look fancy. So the first thing that I saw the other day on this collagen product that is really, I think, sweeping Instagram right now, and you've got every pretty girl that's doing Botox and fillers and everything else talking about how beautiful their skin looks since they've used it. Also, we could do a little bit on placebo effect anyway, and how it is so often for men and women to take anything. And have read so much positive about it that the psychological aspect of it
Absolutely
makes you feel like, oh my God, I'm changing. I'm feeling better already.
And PJ, here's the thing that, I mean, it depends how deep you want to get in the placebo effect. It's a real thing. So the placebo effect isn't scam, sham. It's like, no, it's an actual phenomena. It's a real, it's just like any other universal law, because it really shows you the power of belief, and that you could actually, you believe in it so much, you are actually controlling the body's actually, you're controlling the body to do that thing. It was funny, like Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you know him. My wife, he's great on meditation. Like, they gave sugar pills of antidepressants and opioids, and people believed it, and they got, their body literally was producing the opioid.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? So the body produced that opioid that they thought they were getting. It was, I mean, it just shows you, placebo isn't just like a false, like there's an actual end manifestation product that happens from that. Like, that part of the body heals, or that part of the body, collagen is synthesized.
If you start getting really deep into the mind, the power of the mind, right? People that have depression, anxiety, things like that. Now, I have very, very, very bad anxiety. I was diagnosed young with generalized anxiety disorder, right? So when I started getting really bad panic attacks, the first few times I was sure that I was having a heart attack, right? I was positive. Went to the emergency room. It's just anxiety. That is shocking to me, because I was getting the exact same side effects that you get when you're having a heart attack. But my mind was creating this to happen, right? So what happened was, eventually I had to get put on my medicine for it. And then you take this pill, and now all of a sudden you're not having a heart attack anymore. How is your mind that powerful to create that? So the reason I'm even telling this little story is, there was a point where I was going to therapy, and I was trying to get to the bottom of these panic attacks, right? And I was speaking to the therapist. She wanted to talk about my biological father. I'm like, why are we going to talk about my biological father? I want to talk about me. We got to fix me. And one of the things that we talked about was how he was diagnosed with a rare form of throat cancer. And they told him he probably only had 6 months to live, and he was doing radiation and everything else. And she was like, it's interesting that you say that about your father, because whenever you talk about how bad your anxiety gets, you always talk about not being able to breathe and the pressure on your chest. And she goes, and when you started speaking about your father, you started doing the same thing. And I thought about it, and I was like, huh. I never even thought about it like that. I actually never had those symptoms ever again. And I learned, like, wow, I was thinking about it so deeply. I was thinking about my biological father and his condition so deeply that I was manifesting this anxiety that was then producing those kind of effects on me, and thinking, oh my God, something's wrong with me now. And that, going back to the placebo effect, is why in most case studies, there always has to be a sugar pill group in the supplement world, because if people are reading the same data beforehand and they're believing the data and they're both taking the same thing, you've got to have that other control group to see, okay, these guys are using the product, these guys are using the sugar pill, here's how the data compares. And I think that when you see women that are beautiful and they're talking about this collagen product, and you're like, oh, they're so beautiful, like, I love this girl, she uses this, I'm gonna use it too, oh my God, my skin is looking better. But it may look exactly the same. You're just feeling better about yourself because you're doing something positive. So when you look at this collagen label, right, this is the most important thing. If you listen to Trevor, you may have a similar mindset to it. He was like, really, the lowest amount that you should be taking in a dose of collagen is 5 grams. He was like, I believe that everybody should get at least 10. He's like, guys, especially if you're on gear, you should be getting 20, no matter what. And he's like, ladies, there's nothing wrong with pushing for 22, but try to get at least 10. 5 should be your lowest in a serving. So you got a product now that the total serving is 4.3. And now a bunch of people are going to be looking collagen product with 4.3 grams. Good. I hope you do go find out who it is. I haven't said their names, so they can't get mad at me. And then you look at this proprietary blend. When you break it down, I think there's probably only like 1 gram of actual collagen in there. So then something like I like Vital Proteins. They don't pay me. You know what I mean? They're nice people. And they're very cost effective, right? They have 10 grams in a serving. So that's 10 times stronger than the other one. Why would you not want that? And it's way, way less expensive because it sounds so silly, But when you want to get really, really layman's on what collagen is, it's just crushed up bones, basically.
It's PJ. It's everything that we throw away.
Yeah.
Like my friend of mine, Josh Axe, he owns Ancient Nutrition, and he started that new category of bone broth protein,
Yeah.
and them and Vital are competitive, but it was always 10.5 grams of the collagen in there. But you're right. When you look at it, it's the things but his whole story, because there's got to be a story to sell
course.
something. His whole story was back in the day.
Yep.
They used to eat the knuckles. They used to eat the chicken's feet. They used to eat the cartilage and the bone marrow. We don't. But what do they do today? You just eat the chicken breast. So you're not getting all the other beneficial qualities of the other organ meats or the other things. So this was their way of and at that time it was so funny because I was the guy. Well, you and I would do the same thing if we had. I was the guy who would boil grass-fed beef bones to make my own bone broth. 36 hours, 48 hours on simmer, because that's what I had to do, right? And I remember my friend Josh. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to send you this bag." So he sent me a silver sachet of the powder when they were trying to make the bone broth. I was like, "So all I have to do is pour this in water, and I don't have to simmer for 48 hours." He's like, "Yep." So I was like, "Oh my God, I go, dude, this is going to be amazing." So I mean, they exploded. But you're so right. It was all these other factors: cartilage, the tongue, the feet, chicken that we don't use, fish skeletons. That they're actually, I mean, how cool is that? They're actually taking something that we were thrown away and making it a high-level beauty project.
So I get asked all the time, hey, when I'm looking at my collagen products, a lot of them say bovine, right? But I have found one that says chicken and fish. And so Trevor gave me a great layman's answer to that. He goes, think about how much steak and burgers and milk is being produced worldwide. So when you take that cow, you're going to monetize this cow the best you possibly can. So you're going to get your steaks. You have even the crappier cuts of it that you're going to do something with. When you strip all that meat and everything down, what do you have left? You got the tendons and the knuckles and the bones and the stuff like that that's left over. You can grind that all out, and that's where your collagen peptides come from. So it is easier to do it with bovine. It is the most easiest and cheapest and efficient
abundance.
Way to do it.
You have
There's
such
so
a
much of it.
resource is tremendous.
So now if you're going to do fish bones, right? You got to have a lot more.
Yeah.
You got a bigger fish, right? You're going to use all these little minnow bones.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing it forever. And then chicken again, smaller bones. But if you wanted to have a truly complex collagen product, then you could get one that had eggshell and chicken and fish and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know how much
What's the difference? I don't know.
better it would truly be.
Yeah,
but just get it in, right? So
there's several types of collagen.
Yes.
So let them know about 4 types, right?
So when you look at most, actually, we'll
1, 2, 4.
So when you look at most of them, you'll see type 1 and 2 the most often. And do you want to tell people why you're going to see these types of specific, and why some companies will be call out specifically just type 2 collagen peptides?
Well, they just have different factors of properties, but we understand that, the 3 and 4 are just more expensive. I mean, just like with your products, right? You're remember when you told me, for me to put this in that product, I'm going to need so many grams of it to make it where I feel it's okay, because that's what the studies said. Right?
So what's happening now is companies are wanting to really highlight the fact that they have type 2 collagen peptides, because a quick little Google search or to the layman's person is going to go on and be like, oh, type 2 is better than type 1. So they're calling that out. So I'm getting better. It is rare. Now they are out there. They are out there. But it is rare that you'll see a company that's really calling out type 3, type 4, because again, they're more expensive, and those products will be more expensive. But if you do see that, it's arguable that it's probably a little bit higher quality product, because they wanted to really get behind, and they're going to have to charge more for it. You're not going to see that as often, and you're going to see mostly type 1 and type 2. And it's okay if it's highlighting type 2. You just have to make sure that that you're not getting scammed into one of these prop blends or something that's not there. Or another thing that people are saying that is also a fallacy is that, well, this company is really good because their collagen product is in a liquid form. And I say, well, when that product was made, when they took all those bones and tendons and everything to make that collagen, like, how do you think they made it? What do you think they did? Do you think that they still crushed up all those bones and tendons and then simmered it into some soup until it was really thick, and then that was the liquid that you're getting? It is, again, concentrated into whatever the solution is that they're mixing it in, and that's really more of a marketing move. Like, ours is in liquid form.
Higher absorption.
Yeah, higher absorption.
Faster absorption.
So again, it really comes down to just reading the label, knowing about the collagen, and yes, now on the beauty side of it, of course, hair, skin, nails. We talked about the benefits on muscle tissue.
Sure.
I think that when you're taking more collagen, most people that I speak to, women will always talk about the beauty side of it, right? But most guys that I talk to will say that they feel more fluid in their movements and in their joints.
Absolutely.
Or they don't feel as rigid or dry. And I think that really for joints and the soft tissue around the joints, that's where you really, really notice it a lot. Yeah. And especially as you get older and you're beating your body up in the gym. So ladies, don't get suckered into these scams. Collagen really shouldn't be that expensive. I mean, it's just crushed up bones.
And as far as, when you talked about what types or whatnot, it really, and that really comes down individually to, there's some people that just really want to, and they focus a little bit more on their health than others. And it's, for someone, it's not necessarily a money issue, but there's someone who says, listen, I'm willing to invest that. And when it comes to health, I always tell people health should be expensive.
Yeah.
Because it's priceless.
Absolutely.
Right? So, I mean, when I look at your bank account, your credit card statements, your checkbook, I can really tell you what's number one in your life. So is it health? Is it investing into you and to yourself? Or is it, investing to other things that are maybe taking you away from your goals? So I really think collagen is an amazing supplement. When we either do our growth hormone therapy with our patients and or stem cells, when we do the stem cells, we always tell them, exactly like you said, look to get 20 grams of collagen peptides a day, just to help support that whole symbiotic process that's happening with the body regenerating.
We'll have to do one of our next podcasts will be on stem cells and the different types of stem cells, because I've actually done some stem cells before, and there's treatments where they're putting stem cells directly into the joints. Then there's the systemic way, and obviously there are ways that they do it outside of the USA that are much different. So we'll definitely be doing that one. And closing out this women's specific show, since we're talking about beauty, right? Birth control can affect your skin. It can affect weight gain dramatically. And I get asked this one a lot, right? You
get asked, and I find out. I'll tell you how I find, and I'll just tell you, you get asked, and I find out because anytime I date a fitness competitor, they're like, well, estrogen and competing, estrogen and fitness don't work together. Like, I'm not on the pill. They're basically telling me,
yeah,
oh, man,
which is such a pain in the ass.
Shit. And I'm like, really?
Because you're spraying and praying after that.
Yeah, just a tip, BJ, just a tip.
Or you'd be like me, you're just finishing off in there and just rolling the dice every time. Just rolling the dice.
That's so bad.
Just hoping that your SHBG is low enough that my luteinizing hormone 0. They don't understand what that means, but trust me, I should be okay.
I've been on for a couple months. We'll take the gamble.
Actually, most of my buddies have gotten their girls pregnant on the most gear.
Yeah, on prep. Or
just juiced out getting their girls pregnant.
It's funny, Mark Dugdale. I don't know him personally, but I think 2 of his daughters were conceived on the USA.
And Ronnie Coleman, the guys on Ronnie's circle, said that Ronnie was getting girls pregnant like left and right when he was competing in his Olympias, and they actually told him, the guy that was working with him said that there was guys that were in charge of making sure that he had to use condoms because he's got like the most super powerful sperm. So that just shows you could be on all the gear that you want, and it doesn't necessarily work that way.
Yeah. He's shooting at peanuts.
No, I mean, I call it Africanized killer sperms. They're gonna get you.
So we go to the birth control, but it is a thing for a lot of female competitors because we want to talk about you want to be able to be safe in those areas, but then again, a competitor would be like, well, I don't want it to affect my, placings or my conditioning. And how many competitors do you know that it's amazing? Some women, they'll be like, And the last week of the show, the day before the show, I got my period. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yep. A bunch of
like-
times.
Right. So it's like, wow, so I understand that is an issue that's in the back of their head. So I think this will be amazing to kind of shed light on that.
Now, this is a 3-part answer, right? So you've got your standard birth control pills. And now you've got, it's been around
Let's
for a
talk
little while.
about those. So the standard ones are just pure.
You're going to get
Yeah.
mostly pure estrogen
Yeah.
pills, right?
Yep.
And it is a matter of how much estrogen that you're getting. And I also think that women should understand when they're looking at blood work, the difference between estradiol, estrone. These are different effects that you're going to have in your body when these numbers are elevated in different ways. So if you are going to take a birth control pill, they actually make them that have lower estrogen. There's actually one called low estrogen. And if you're going to go that route with the pill, the lower the estrogen, the better. Now, a lot of women are put on birth control young to regulate their bodies because perhaps they have PCOS or perhaps they had some sort of cancerous issues in their family and they had irregularities and they had problems bleeding. I know girls that had major issues with bleeding, like every 2 weeks I'm getting horrible periods, every 2 weeks, and they're actually put on birth control to regulate their hormones, okay? This is something that starts very young, oftentimes. So now if you're on something that's regulating your hormones for years, and then you decide that you want to do a fitness competition, so you're going to remove this supplement that's been regulating your hormones because you hear that it makes you fatter, well, guess what? You're going to really, really, really throw off your body's natural flow. And oftentimes, a lot of bad happens when you do that. So if you are taking the pill and you're going to do a show, I can tell you this. Stay on the pill. Diet the right way. You can still use the other things. Now, this is something that's very important. A lot of the girls that don't want to take the pill out, they will do the other things, and then they get involved with using Nolvadex because it's so common. So now the problem with that is you're putting estrogen in, but you're taking something that's blocking it from doing what it's supposed to do. And this is extremely risky, and it's not something that you want to mess with. So for that reason, I really like the NuvaRing. Now, the NuvaRing actually works with progesterone. It's a little bit different.
Yep.
And when it first came out, there was a lot of girls that were like freaked out by it, except for the fitness industry girls, because they were like, oh, I don't have to have all this estrogen. Sign me up. Now, the reason that the girls were freaked out by it because you had to put it in yourself. And it's this little circle. And it's small, and it's not thick or anything like that. It's just a little circle that, goes up into your cervix, and you put it up in there, and then you leave it. And it stays up there for 3 weeks. Then you pull it out. You get your period. Then you put it back in. So it's a once-a-month application. You don't even feel it in there. And I have seen a lot of great success with this one. But you're still going to have that period where you take it out and you get your period. So I have to tell this funny side story, right? So I first found out about this one over 15 years ago. And I was dating my first fitness chick. And she owned a gym, and she was awesome, and she was just in sick shape, squatted 225. I never saw shit like that in the early 2000s, right? And so we're getting into it at the gym one night, right? And I'm like, fuck it, we're doing this here. It was her gym.
Yeah.
So we lock down the gym. We go in her office. This is one of our first times together.
Right.
And I throw her on the desk, and I pull her legs, and I start banging her, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, I started feeling something a little weird, a little poke. But I'm like, I don't care. This girl's so hot. I'm in the moment. Then all of a sudden, I feel like a little bit of pressure, and I pull out, and there's this ring around the top of my dick, and I go, what the? And she goes, oh my God, the gynecologist said that could never happen. And I was like, what is this? And she pulls it off, and she's like, it's my NuvaRing, it's my birth control. I'm like, that little thing is your birth control? And I was blown away. And she was like, I'm so embarrassed. And I was like, no, it's cool. I mean, at least, so what does this mean now? Does this mean we got to stop?
Yeah.
So the funny thing is,
do I need to stick it back in?
So the funny thing about this is when she went and told her gynecologist, she said that her gynecologist goes, bring me this man. I need to meet the guy that was in there that far that got this thing out. So that shouldn't really happen, ladies. Now, of course, all the guys at home are going to be like, oh, I feel it all the time. And I'm by no means saying that I have a mandingo dick by any means. I think that she just had a shorter vagina, maybe was what it was. But that should not happen. Now, your third option is the IUD, right? And here's the thing with the IUD. The IUD, you're not going to get really any hormone response, but you could get some weird side effects, some strange bleeding. Yeah. I have actually dated a few girls that had IUDs in for years, and you're not going to get pregnant, and you're not even going to think about it.
No, it's in.
And so if you want your just no hormone whatsoever, like not even thinking about it at all, when the IUD is in, it's in, and that's your least worry there. Now, I've noticed that there's some fear in women with IUD, but I haven't been able to really understand why. Have you like dated or been with anybody that's had IUD?
All the above. It's the IUD because it changes the pH. Sometimes some women tend to get more infections and stuff like that. So it really is on an independent, typical basis. But for convenience,
yes,
that thing's amazing.
And you don't have to worry about it at all.
Yeah, I mean, and then I think the scare is this is. Females, they have so many other complicated factors they got to think about because in the back of their mind is this, well, if I'm on birth control, someday I would like to have children. So I don't want to, it could be years before I have a child. So the IUD tends to be the one where, well, will I be able to get pregnant again? So there's always that fear that I don't want kids now, but I don't want to be also the person that messes myself up where I'm not able to have children because we've all heard stories and we know people where it took years after, especially when they've been on birth control since 12 or 13 or 14.
But we hear this with guys also.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing when you're changing your body's, natural homeostasis, right? And you're making your body rely on something else for a long period of time. It's very possible that it doesn't want to go back the right way. In theory, right? The doctor will say, okay, well, we're going to do this, we're going to stop this, and this is what's going to happen. But it so often just doesn't work the way the textbooks say.
Yeah, you're right. And we cannot control the time of it. I mean, like it might take 4 years for it to come back. It could take, for some people, 4 weeks.
I know that for me, I have. So I'm the opposite of you. I have not been off my HRT in years. And, I don't really go too crazy. I pretty much do the same stuff all the time anyway. But I came off during my marriage, and I ran what was a pregnancy protocol, right? And I was running HUG and Clomid, and I was fucking tired. And I was like crying all the time. Like I would see those fucking... the animal commercials with the Sarah McLachlan songs, like adopt these animals. Like, we gotta adopt this dog.
On Facebook, PJ's favorite movie was The Notebook.
The Notebook, yes, that's a crier, man.
Yeah, you don't want to watch that on PC too.
No, but you know what? The worst part about it was I had a major lack of motivation on it, and that's what. I know we're talking about the ladies, but give a man a little bit of testosterone and watch how much he accomplishes, and then take it away, the motivation and just the lethargy, the depression that comes with it. It's a major
the drive molecule. That's what we call it, the drive molecule.
I know that, so you can't base everything by a snapshot of your blood, right? But I know because I've got it done enough times that when I was off for however long, it wasn't the longest period of time, I was not getting her pregnant, and we were doing it constantly. And then my rebound situation, that was just pure sex because I was drunk the whole time. I was going through my divorce. I didn't even really like her. It was just sex. And I came inside her every single time, and she was trying to get pregnant. I mean, I would come in, go to the bathroom to clean up and come back in, and she'd be laying there with her feet sticking up in the air. She had books on how to get pregnant, and I told her, I was like, you're not going to get pregnant. I was like, I'm telling you, if you look at my blood work, I shouldn't be able to have kids. And she just didn't want to believe it, right? So we went to a gynecologist with her, and they ultrasound her to see how her follicles were. And they were like, nope, you're perfectly fine so people, I don't know if all women are going to understand that part of the conversation, but
no, just explain.
So women, it's not always the man's fault, right? So you have these follicles, right? And if you don't have the healthy follicle, then the egg can't drop and bond the right way, and the semen can't go in and penetrate the little egg like you see in the movies and have this whole happy explosion inside. You have to have these healthy follicles. Some women have more than others.
Yes.
And so they told her, they're like, nope, you're perfectly good to go. It's him. And I was like, I told you. I haven't told the gynecologist. I was like, I've been telling her all along. And so I actually wasn't trying to have children, so it wasn't a concern to me. I said, there will be a day, most likely, when you look at my blood work, there's a couple things that I like to look at all the time, my luteinizing hormone and my SHBG, which is your sex hormone binding globulin, right? So those numbers on me are like 0 every time. And when you see that, just a byproduct of that is that my sperm count should be pretty low. And of course, there's other things that those numbers are indicators of, but that's one of the clear things. I have, again, sometimes seen guys that have had low numbers there and still got their girls pregnant, but it usually is going to be the case. That's one of the things that they'll test you for first, and then they put you on these HCG and Clomid and things like that. I might have to do that for a couple of years. I had a buddy that was a strongman. He had to do it for over 2 years, and they didn't want to give up. And then he finally got his girl pregnant, and then he got her pregnant again. But it was 2 years of him going from being 320 pound, one of the best strongmen in the world, to 270, tired. But it's all a matter of what are you trying to achieve.
What do you want?
Yeah, they wanted kids really bad. So, ladies, if you want to just keep on taking the pill, Google low estrogen, and then you'll see there's a few of them that are pretty good. Low estrogen is one of the ones that comes to mind, but just Google low estrogen birth control, or talk to your doctor or your gynecologist about it. Next option, of course, NuvaRing, which is progesterone-based, and then third option, which is your easiest one, is the IUD. And we covered all the different things there.
PJ, how about this? This could be few far between, but how about when some women have hysterectomies for whatever reason? So now they were forced into menopause in their teenage or 20s or 30s. So this creates the opposite hormonal imbalance where would you recommend that they, because they would want them to supplement with some type of estrogen?
Yeah.
Do you not? Like, so where's that? Because that's quite prevalent too. And again, it's something not talked to because no one's to be like, I don't have a cervix.
So I have worked with only a couple, but I have worked with some very young competitors that have had hysterectomies before. You see it often, whether it's something that's either cancer related or sometimes as we get older.
Endometriosis, stuff like that, yeah.
Actually, my grandma, she's passed away now, endometriosis, she had to have a hysterectomy, right? So now, I suppose if you don't want to have children, you never have to worry about it there. But you really are going to have to supplement with estrogen here, because if you don't, you're going to be experiencing such horrible, overly androgenic side effects. And this is way more than just when you hear women say, "Oh, I'm having hot flashes." I'm talking issues with your skin, issues with headaches, migraines, deepening of the voice, dryness of the skin, and then extreme temperature changes, all sorts of things that happen without the estrogen balance there. And then you actually have to have some estrogen in to balance everything out. Now, this is super interesting because women, when they get to a certain age and they're premenopause and then menopause, there's a dramatic change during each of those phases, right? And this is where HRT becomes very, very important because some women hit it much younger than others. And when we see these swings in the hormones, I actually looked at a woman's blood work the other day. And she went in for menopause, right? She was about 50 years old. And she kept on telling me that she thought it was from one of the bodybuilding supplements that she was taking. It was like an over-the-counter supplement. And I was like, you're definitely either premenopause or menopause. The symptoms that you're telling me are menopause. And she was like, no. And I was like, I'm sure that they are, but just go to a doctor then. So the doctor finally convinced her that she needed to do something for her menopause. So what the doctor wanted to do was put her on a little bit of testosterone and a little bit of DHEA. Like, they wanted to balance everything out. And so her original numbers were very interesting because everything was really low for some reason, everything. So they put her on 4 milligrams of testosterone a couple times a week. And that's pretty low. But the blood work that she showed me I said, are you doing more than what they're giving you? And so her testosterone, now women aren't going to know these numbers the same way, the way that you and I will. So her testosterone was about 130. And I like to see, like, I think women can be super healthy around like 80 when you look at like a total testosterone, right? And this is much different than the free testosterone, which can see a much lower number, right? But we're just talking about total serum levels. I think 80 is like your optimal healthy, right? And I think you can go 100 or even a little more and watch and be okay. But she was about 130, but her estradiol and her estrone, the estradiol was like 500. And then the estrone was like 300. And I said, holy shit. And I go, I'm glad that you showed me this. This is not necessarily from you having bad effects to the testosterone. It's possible that your body is just converting estrogen like crazy, maybe from adding that testosterone in. I go, so honestly, your doctor is going to say otherwise, but you probably need to just get this testosterone out and then possibly start back over again because you had a crazy conversion and you must be crying and tired and emotional and moody. And she was like, yes, all of those things. I'm miserable. This is not what I thought was going to happen. I was like cursing the doctor for the testosterone. And I said, well, you needed to get the testosterone into a good range, but you're just getting way too much estrogen now. So those are scary numbers and you're not going to feel good on those numbers. So I guess women, in closing, get your blood work done no matter what anyway. If you've been on birth control, you can't abruptly stop it. If you're going to start taking birth control, like you fell in love, you're with a guy, you want to have sex all the time, you don't want to use condoms, they do suck. Do your education first. And if you are trying to be Miss Olympia, then you might want to just go to the IUD. Right. Well, what do you got? You got anything else?
That's it, man. I think you really covered it. You covered it all. I think that's a great topic that no one wants to talk about, but it is again another stressor and thing in the back of a competitor's mind.
Absolutely, and we're getting more and more. The female side of the sport is huge now. I mean, the biggest divisions, the bikini division is just monstrous. Figure was huge for a while. It's gotten smaller. Bikini is just enormous. Women's physique is pretty big. Figure is pretty big. Bodybuilding is not, far less women are as interested in bodybuilding. But now this wellness division we're going to see huge. Yep. And, women need to learn their bodies just like men do. Next time, though, we're going to do some fun stuff with stem cells and some other stuff that I'd like to talk about with you for sure.
All good stuff.
And these podcasts are all going to be out. Well, the first one won't be, but these podcasts are going to be out after the ozone therapy video because we're shooting the ozone therapy video tomorrow. And if you guys have any questions on that ozone therapy video, now that you're hearing it here, please ask me because we're going to do like a basic, he's going to explain the ozone therapy. But I want to talk a lot about how different people can utilize it and why they would utilize it and, medical reasoning. So please watch the ozone therapy video if you haven't. It's already going to be out by the time you listen to this podcast. I'm super, super proud and pleased that I know about ozone therapy now, and it's all because of Dr. Chris. So we'll close it out on that one. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Peace.